We can move forward and see if there's a guy out there, a company out there that would love to take it off our hands and do us a nice favor, you know?
I still think that you have to do that formally. There are going to be people who are, no matter how we feel about the condition, knowing more than some people do about the condition, who are going to be concerned. You know, they have family-like attachment to the place, and I think we should keep it formal and going out for our prices. So we have to come up with some kind of document that requests, you know, it says exactly what we want. It's going to come on what we take inside in our plans. Thank you. Couldn't think of the right acronym.
On the consensus. I'm still working on, do we want to do that? So I know I'm one.
I'd like to make a motion that we take this building down at the appropriate time. I mean, I don't want to put timing on it because of the finances.
Yeah, sure.
But I'd like to make a motion that discussion on the floor that we dismantle this building for scrap or whatever it is.
Rather than refurbish. I'll second that motion.
For discussion, was that the only study that's been done on the building, or is that just the most recent one?
That was the only study.
Okay.
No, there was analysis done before that, early on. There was, but this is more time.
This one was done for the library because they looked at floor loading.
We did it before that.
Pre-purchase. I know you said.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's gotten worse.
Oh.
As of that report.
There were
even worse now.
There was a time when it was refurbished.
The library did a report too?
Yeah.
Library did
an
extensive report too.
I think that's it.
So the evidence pretty much says that it's not salvageable, basically everything we have.
Well, no, this one said it was salvageable back in 2006 using 2005 data at a cost of about $10 million estimate.
Well, we know to fix it is minimally $10 million, and I would agree with you probably even a lot more now, given 3 years have passed, 3+ years have passed, so the damage is probably worse, and $10 million then doesn't equal $10 million now. So I think we know one side of the spectrum, the cost. We need to find out what the other side of the spectrum is.
Right.
Before we can even make a decision as to exactly what should happen.
So how about if we were to formalize the RFP and put that out there, that we can put time constraints on and get an immediate response to, and find out exactly how much money we could either make or, you know, come out even, and then we'd have the information to make any further determination.
So does a engineer have to develop the RFP, or do we have some other alternative?
We're getting ahead of ourselves. Just, excuse me, George. Let's just decide the motion.
The consensus, right?
You know,
we're still on that.
Could we have a motion?
Was there a second?
Yeah. I second it. Discussion, yeah.
And now discussion, but let's just keep the discussion on whether we want to bring it down or we don't. There's no further.
I don't think we have $10 million.
Yeah.
I think the bottom line pretty simple.
We don't know what it's going to cost to take it down, but I'm guessing, really guessing, it's going to be a lot.
So you're asking us to vote on taking it down?
Yes.
Yes.
Rather than refurbishing it.
Yeah.
All right, there's no further discussion. Let's call the motion.
No, I'm just wondering if we should vote on whether to take it down or vote on
the
what
RFP.
it would cost to take it down.
To me, that's why I brought up the RFP.
You can't have a motion and decide.
Okay.
You can make a motion.
Call your vote.
Yeah.
Call your vote.
Is there anybody in favor to, I'm just bringing up this discussion, to see if there's anybody out there that would want to do something with it and make it something? I don't know. A viable building. I don't know.
Yeah, well, the next thing is, okay, so we refurbish it for $10 million. The way I understand the building, it still would have limited use, because
we're entering into another question.
I know.
Well,
I brought this up the last
part
I just want everything out of the table.
Sure. This is all part of, should we refurbish it or should we just take it down? Also, if we do refurbish it, we have to recognize, and I mean, I don't care which way, that it still will have limited use. The library couldn't use it because the top floor could not support it. So whatever it does go in there at a refurbished rate still would be restricted. So I don't know, you know.
Well, if I heard what Doug said based on that report when I was listening to that, that $10 million wasn't so that the building, you could turn the key and walk in there.
Not at all.
There still had to be other work done on top of that.
I think that was $2 million. It was $8 million to get the square, and then whatever you decide to do on the inside, they figured about $2 million more in those days.
That doesn't include the furnace or any of that stuff.
Yeah.
And then it's only used for limited uses, so.
Well, you can call your vote. From my perspective, the way I start would be to get the RFP. I mean, I'd like to have the information before I take a vote on a concept. The only issue I'm raising, I'm not in disagreement.
Well, let's just ask.
Could you give a little definition? Well, I have definition about that, but I'd like to know,
About what?
you know, the RFP, because let's say it came in, and we have companies, a few companies that would say, yes, they would take it down for a cost, and they all come in with cost factors, nothing that would benefit our citizens and the public as far as...
Then you reject?
Thank you, I just want to get
yeah, you don't have to
clarification.
accept.
Because, you know, I'm looking for the easiest way out here for the taxpayers.
Which is
And
why...
I know we all are, I'm not
Of
just
course.
saying me. So that's what, I just want to make sure.
Which is why I just like dealing with the fact, having the results of the fact gathering before you take conceptual votes.
That's probably not gonna change.
Well, the
our
reason why I made the
Go ahead.
motion, I'll be honest with you,
Yeah.
is because the safe, well, if we go back a year and a half, 2 years ago, we had our last meeting, the question was asked then, is it a liability or is it an asset? And I've heard since then, it's really a liability because of the safety aspects of people getting in there and this and that. So to me, we make the decision, okay, we're gonna take it down at some point in time. Then we figure out how we're gonna do it, what's the best approach to getting RFPs, or whoever's gonna do whatever, or committees or subcommittees or whatever. But
Before we vote, do we know if, as joint rec, put any time and thought into this? Do they have any information that would benefit us? Would it be appropriate to ask them if they looked into it at this point?
Well, they're in the building.
Or, they don't have time.
I don't have the money.
Right, if they looked at, if they looked at the things with the building and things like that. Well, the answer is no, and the answer is no, I just
I think it's...
thought it was a question to ask.
Yeah, see, my thought is, no matter what it comes in at, what the RFP comes in at, if we're making a decision to do something with that building, unless the RFP comes in and says, well, it'll be 18 million to take it down, and only 10 million to refurbish it, we may do that, but it's highly unlikely, so that's where we're coming from.
It's all right, you don't have to, I mean,
Yeah,
call
to
your
move it-
vote and
move it
vote the way
forward.
we want to vote.
We go to vote and they go for an,
Oh, we're gonna go.
But I'm gonna do that,
Yeah.
Good.
the consensus is that no one.
I think they go hand in hand.
We got the separate, we
No
can
matter
get
which way
one,
you
so.
go.
Yeah, exactly,
That's-
yes. Can't afford it.
Go to
All right,
state.
why don't we just call a motion? All those in favor of taking down the building, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
I'm not opposed to taking down the building, I'm opposed to the vote.
Okay.
So that's an A or an I? I'm not sure.
No, that's a nay.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
opposed to the vote.
Okay, so we get it clean for the record.
Just to go by the standards of how this intermunicipal agreement was taken, we should probably do 2 votes.
Separate votes, sir?
Because of the town, it says in the agreement, you have to have a majority of both boards.
Oh,
So
okay.
just for the record, we do it that way.
Sure, it's a good idea.
Because you could have a majority of 6 and not be both boards.
Yeah, that's good.
All right, so let's do it the right way because...
the town board.
Yeah, we got
You made the motion, you
I
seconded it.
so we're okay.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Now, I guess someone have to.
Village board, we need a motion in a second.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Guess we had no discussion. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. Opposed? So then we do have majority. I don't know about if anybody as on board, we didn't really get to that. I know all RFPs and things like that have to take forward. I think rather than waiting for us to get together, we're just discussing here. My own feeling is set up a subcommittee, let them get involved in it with the attorney and work on the RFP or any other things that have to be done.
Well, is it inappropriate for me to make a motion that we formulate an RFP? I mean, to me, that's what keeps the ball rolling.
Yeah, well, that's
Or
what I
else
would
we have
figure.
to come back to us to do
I
that.
would figure that would be one of the duties of the subcommittee.
They'd still have to bring it back to us to vote for it.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah, sure, anything as a subcommittee would have to bring anything back to us.
No, we can't go out for an RFP unless we have the approval of the board. You can't even go out for one, so if we want if we want to say, okay, we want to get an RFP, whether we accept its findings or reject everyone's findings, if we have the approvals for the board, then we can move forward on formulating the RFP. Either that, or we have to have the subcommittees go meet with the attorneys, then set up another, for us to come back together again, and I'm looking for it to get done more time. Whatever you say.